Today we're going to be talking about the PSR, which is the periodontal screening and recording, and it uses a special probe called a PSR probe or a WHO probe. And you may recall the ball at the end is 0.5 millimeters. The black colored area is 3.5 to 5.5 millimeters. The next line up is 8.5 millimeters and 11.5 millimeters. The idea with the PSR is that it's a screening tool, and we divide the mouth into sextants. So to recall, sextant 1 goes from 1/8 to 1/4. Sextant 2 is all the anteriors on the top. Sextant 3 goes from 2/4 to 2/8. Sextant 4 is 3/8 to 3/4. Sextant 5 is the anteriors, and sextant 6 goes from 4/8 to 4/4. So I'm going to do a demo today on sextant 6 on the buckle to start with. When you're holding on to the probe, the most common error is that people take their middle finger and put it underneath the probe or on the side of the probe. It should be on top of the probe. So your middle finger should be on top. Your thumb should be bent out because we want to have light pressure. If our thumb is bent in, it means we have moderate or heavy pressure. And lastly, keep your pinky in nice and tight to your ring finger. As for adaptation and angulation for the probe, our angulation is basically parallel with the line angle of the tooth and with about 5-degree angulation. And our adaptation is we keep the side of the probe in contact with the tooth, and the very end of the ball is what contacts our junctional epithelium. So I'm going to start on 4/7 buccal. When we do probing, we always start at the distal line angle. When I demonstrate on the dentiform here, I won't go subgingival. I'm going to show supragingivally how to adapt and the angulation. So we always start at the distal line angle, which is about there, and we walk slowly in to the distal contact, and then we walk to the mesial contact. Our walking stroke advances about 1 millimeter at a time, and it's a short controlled stroke like that. It isn't a vibrating type stroke. It's short and controlled and advances in 1 millimeter increments. Then you go to the next tooth. Once again, we would start at the distal line angle and go to the distal, and then around to the mesial. Short controlled strokes. Our angulation is basically parallel with the tooth, maybe 5 degrees angulation. Our adaptation, the very end of that ball should be in contact with the junctional epithelium. The side of the probe is in contact with the tooth. So it should not be perpendicular like this. It should be parallel like this. So if I was going to do sextant 6 for the PSR, sextant 6 is 4/8 to 4/4, I'd start at the most distal tooth at the distal line angle, work to the distal and the mesial. Go to the next tooth, the distal, and around to the mesial. 4/6, the distal to the mesial. 4/5, the distal to the mesial. 4/4, distal to the mesial. And then I would do the same on the lingual surface and then get my PSR code for that sextant. And the codes go from 0 to 4. So you determine which code is appropriate for that sextant and move on to the next sextant.